All right. Thanks for tuning into the Limitless Learning podcast, where we talk all things the future of learning. And we've got an exciting guest today, Nia Martinez. She's the founder of Innovative Global Learning Solutions, and she's created learning systems for all different types of company, finance, and all different, language, things like that. So we're really excited to hear from her and all of the wisdom she's learned over the years. How are you doing today, Nia?
Great. How are you, Dominic? And hi, everyone. So great to meet you. I'm excited to end this fruitful discussion about learning.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm doing great. Why don't we start just with what inspired you to start this company and what was like the main issue you were trying to solve with this endeavor?
Yeah, I've been doing instructional design to some capacity. I would say for the past 20 years, I started out a teacher after in AmeriCorps after graduating and did a lot of adult learning and eventually found my way into capacity building and training, especially in the international development sector, and did a lot of training and development for USAID projects as well as the World Bank, working in countries in Latin America and Africa to design impactful training programs for entrepreneurs, for farmers. And yeah, so it was, so learning has always been a passion of mine. And I think as I continue to move within my career, and have trained people all over the world to conduct training and the best practices on that, I found an opportunity to start my own company. A lot of it too, I have to completely be transparent. I was at this stage of my life where I had son 8 months old, knew that instructional design allowed me the flexibility to, I mean, there's so much remote opportunities. So
Mm,
it allowed me the opportunity to start my own company while raising my son. So doing what I love while raising my son. So that's really why I started it. And it has continued to evolve and grow. Like to say we're very mission or oriented,
yeah,
mission driven. We
yeah.
help mission driven business leaders, HR leaders to create impactful learning for their companies that really do have behavior change and lead to organizational
Mm,
results. And we've worked a lot in the international development sector based on my experience as well as health equity, ocean sustainability, higher education.
mm,
So for me, it's about doing very meaningful work that makes a big difference in the world. And
yeah,
that's why we focus on that at Innovative Global Learning Solutions.
that's amazing. Yeah, thanks for sharing all that. And I'm curious, like, was
Yeah.
there a moment in your early career that made your purpose a little bit more clear, or perhaps the vision of where you wanted to take all this a little bit more clear?
I would say having the opportunity to live and work abroad
Mm,
in different countries all over the world, in Peru and Cameroon, for me, it was a greater purpose of having that global perspective. And then knowing that my career allowed me to continuously support and build capacity internationally. And having that niche, I think, was something that did grow and was sparked into that vision.
beautiful. Yeah, that'll absolutely be life-changing experience, and I'm so
For
glad it worked
sure.
out to clarify how you wanted to make that impact. So when it comes to you going into these companies and diagnosing perhaps how you're going to go about implementing your learning systems, what's a piece of advice or maybe something you've learned along the way when it comes to, getting to know the company you're working with before creating a learning solution?
I think that is key, right? Is establishing those relationships. Like as a business owner, and I would say one of my superpowers is relationships. I love people. I love forming relationships, and I think by setting that foundation is critical and to really understand, not going in there with a solution, but to really understand the organization, what their needs are,
Mm,
and be, having buy-in and support to work together and to build. So that is always the initial
yeah,
goal. I mean, give an example if you'd like as well.
that'd be great. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, great. So recently I started a relationship with a higher education company. Have created a Spanish course with them, and we're also working to support some special education courses and some just education in general courses. And just having that initial meeting with the client, like those kickoff meetings to bring
Hmm.
in discussion, like of what the needs are. And today we actually had a follow up, and I told him, like, hey, look, I have a team, and just being fully transparent that
Hmm.
I have a team and we could take on more work. I know, that you have a lot of courses you need to develop, and just sitting down and having a conversation, and letting him know my vision for my organization as
Yeah.
well, and how we could best collaborate, and knowing what these are for the organization, where they're doing this one pilot of creating um, a bachelor's level education program for paraprofessionals in the New York City public schools to become
Mm.
teachers.
Yeah.
And that framework is going to be replicated in other schools. So just sitting down and having those conversations and really understand what the visions are, what really motivates us, where we're going with our companies, and how we can best align. For me, that is so important to set up front, and then have check-ins, because I've had like three
Yeah.
different check-ins with him, and project has only been like a couple months, but it's just like we've formed a good partnership and relationship. And that is key, because in instructional design organizations, like for me, I haven't gotten business yet, although I definitely want to do that through, proposals and things like that. It's really been word of mouth,
Yeah.
and those relationships, with the higher education organization, and then with other people, it's I have repeat customers, and I keep on,
Right.
serving them, and their needs, within training. And it
Amazing.
starts with those initial conversations and continuous check-in.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it's so much about, like you said, being on the same page value wise. And that probably just makes everything so much smoother when you're especially putting out something that's going to be the eyes of so many employees and workers, and different people are going to see this content. So to have that really clear at the higher levels and coherent, right, is just so important for
Exactly.
creating an impactful system. Amazing. And when it comes to making systems and trainings that really stick with the people that are learning, is there something you've learned along the way to perhaps make something more engaging, or really just like improve the way that it's settling in with the learner? And yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of it, for me, learning in all formats. Well, first of all, it shouldn't be a one-off training. It should be part of an overall ecosystem. And there's a journey where learners, after training, they're able to continuously practice and apply those skills. And it's embedded
Mhm.
within the organization, with their managers, with their teams, and so forth. But other ways, like within an actual course, you could say, or training, for me, what we always try to do with anything we're developing is to focus it around an overall character or
Mm.
storyline, and through that, then introduce the content, more of a discovery. What would this person do, or what would you do? And then have opportunities for reflection on that, and then application at the end. So, for example, a course we're developing right now, an e-learning course with our health equity partner, is on community outreach.
Mhm.
And one of those of what we've done, the storyboard is all about, Dr. Rivera and their practice, and like really starting to implement this outreach, and then going through the overall steps of what are the different approaches of outreach. What are the how do you create a strategy, a community outreach strategy for your primary care practices? It's done for Dr. Rivera and her practice, as well as there's opportunities for reflection for the individual learner on how to incorporate that where they are right now in outreach, and where would they like to see themselves be. And then they're actually practicing writing their own strategy embedded within storyline. And then at the end, they get to pull that document, download that document. And then their next step with this program is about the deliverables to actually create an outreach strategy. So it sort of like flows it on a whole journey. I mean, it starts with the e-learning, but then they have different
Yeah, of
groups like this tracks and
course.
and they have deliverables that they need to do. But we start that reflection, that practice and application within an e-learning course.
Right. Yeah. So really making sure that, like you said, it's part of this ecosystem. It fits into a bigger, there's a lot of ways that people are putting it into practice immediately to like, or not immediately, but throughout the course of their learning so that it really sticks and they really get the practical
Exactly.
application. Incredible. Yeah, that's a great. And as you were speaking, I was looking into this methodology you have called ADDIE, right? And it sounded like some of that was coming
Yeah.
through in your explanation. Could you just give like a brief description of what that is, what that system is that you guys use?
Yeah, the ADDIE model is an instructional design framework. It's all about starting with analysis, which is to
Hmm.
really identify the overall learner's needs, the gaps, as well as align to business outcomes. And then design is all about, based off of all of that information and that analysis, then you go about designing the overall program or courses, objectives, as well as the content flow, the
Hmm.
activities, the assessment, so on within that design blueprint.
Got it.
And then develop is all about developing the course through either, if you're doing an e-learning course, we use Storyline 360 is- or developing like videos. We're doing Google VO right now to do an AI video or, standard PowerPoint decks and so on. And then the next one is on implementation, whether that be facilitating that training or implementing it through your LMS by doing a quality assurance first,
Mhm.
pilot, and then going live. And then evaluation is evaluating the long term impact on the training, whether or not those skills were applied and what was the result within the overall organization.
Great. Yeah. Sounds like just like such a comprehensive start to finish, targeting all these different areas of making sure it's a success. Yeah, that's very cool. I'm curious when it comes to systems and like either selecting the right learning management system or the overall implementation into a company, what's a lesson you learned there when it comes to like I have the material and I want to make sure it gets, installed in the right way to a company. What's something you've learned in that specific part of the
I think it's all
process?
about making sure it is as user friendly and yeah, just as user friendly. And if it can be embedded into the already existing networks,
Yeah.
um, you know, for example, with the health equity organization, for the entire program, they use an LMS called Cypher. So everybody got up to speed and got trained and coached on that. And then there was a lot of communication to the users and guides created on how do you access it. And then within, a 6-month time frame, we met and we optimized the platform based off of some of the feedback from the learners. So I think it's always important. I mean, that was a new LMS that we implemented. For other ones, right now with which I'm super excited about with one of my other clients with the World Bank, we are doing a pilot on learning in the flow of work, which is really creating just in time learning and embedding it directly into systems, into the workflow that others already use.
Mm.
So, for example, we're doing that with one of our financing instruments where people are managing projects as it relates to that financing instrument. We're revamping it, and then we're going to be developing checklists or a short video, how to video within the systems that they already use, the workspaces they already use, so that they could easily get it. Type like, oh, I have a question about this project management
Hmm.
tool. And then once they do that, it clicks and it says, why don't you try looking at this
Hmm.
checklist or,
Yeah.
um, this video, and they click on it and it comes up already in their existing,
Right.
workspace. They don't have to go outside to a mass system or go to a
Hmm.
virtual training to get that information. So I am
Yeah.
really excited about the learning and field work. I know other companies like Deloitte has had a lot of success as well as Microsoft, and they've been embedding learning. So the
Right.
World Bank, has made this a priority and we're piloting it. And I think the embedding system, embedding learning into already existing systems and of everyday work is going
Yeah.
to get learners to actually use it when they need it most, when they're trying to solve a problem or, or they need that to complete a task.
Exactly. That's a brilliant way of doing things, and that's actually something I haven't heard of yet on this podcast, there's a lot of
Yeah.
different emerging trends and tools, and that's sounds like such a brilliant way to just bridge the gap between, I'm already doing something at work and I need some more insight or feedback, and then without having to go over to like a course or something, it's just already there to give me a little bit of more insight and maybe practice something. That's very cool. So when it comes
Yeah,
to
it's the application.
exactly, yeah, brilliant. When it comes to, there's a lot of emerging tech trends, right? When it comes to either micro learning or personalized learning, I heard you mention AI a little bit earlier. What are some things that you're really excited about implementing, or maybe that you've already started implementing?
Yeah, we're excited to implement. We do already do a lot of micro learning, more bite sized, and learning in the flow of work, short video clips, or these, what are those? The PDFs that are clickable PDFs with
Right.
toolkits or checklists. So that's the micro learning that we're doing, especially within the learning and flow of work.
Yeah.
Another thing that I'm seeing and piloting is Google VO3. It is a new video AI tool where you put in what you're looking for and it creates the video. Of course, in the back end that we need to do to ensure image quality, consistency, voice consistency, and so
Cool.
on. But we're leveraging that one right now for our behavioral health, one of our behavioral health modules on how to conduct effective screenings for patients, and we're really looking forward to seeing how to continuously make that efficient, because then
Yeah.
we could start embedding these videos more instead of still life pictures
Right.
through storyline, to use characters, to more characters, and do it quickly, efficiently, and have it be more realistic and look like,
Totally.
like real life.
Yeah, and that plays so much into something that's really important that I've heard you mention a few times, which is that story arc, having something that's interactive and
Exactly.
also that really brings something that otherwise might be really dry or uninteresting into a really accessible realm for the learner. So that's super cool.
Definitely.
And when it comes to just looking ahead in the next few years, what else do you see changing about learning inside organizations in the next few years?
I do think, AI, and in a lot of organizations, our AI is really driving, can do a lot in terms of, like you mentioned, like the personalization of learning more so. So I could see that, happening more, as well as just creating not a one off, but have it be more embedded
Mhm.
into the actual organization through these different AI systems and tools, and then the personalization of them.
Great. Yeah. And when it comes to just looking ahead for your company, let's say like in the coming year, what would be like if your company was to really excel at a particular goal that they had in the next year, what would that look like?
For me, it's about just continuously serving our mission driven organizations and providing the most impactful and engaging learning that we can, and leveraging, when it is, needed, leveraging more emerging trends around the AI videos, or always incorporating the storytelling throughout, and just working with our clients to be more efficient and effective by bringing in that instructional design lens and information about what's happening externally within the learning market and different learning trends.
Beautiful. Yeah, that resonates a lot. That lines up a lot with what you've been sharing about your company and your mission, and that's beautiful. And so if there was say a magic wand you could wave that might instantly fix perhaps a bottleneck or a challenge you guys have been running into, what would that look like if you were to able to quickly solve challenge or problem that you guys have
If I
been running
could
into this year? Yeah, go
wave a
ahead.
wand, if I could wave a wand, just in terms, it would, sometimes it's super hard to say what instructional design is, and what the benefits are to companies, especially when they've been doing things a certain way. And even I think if I could wave a wand, I would, as well as If I could wave a wand, I'm trying to think, I would make sure that organizations don't just, are looking for a one-time training, that it is
Mhm.
actually a journey, and we can work with them on that overall journey,
Yeah.
that really does is embedded into the actual organization and can really lead to tangible results with
Yeah.
the person, with teams, and with organization. Because I think that's often what is the biggest challenge is that, organizations need a training and they need it now. And it's like you said, the ecosystem isn't
Mm.
really
Mhm.
analyzed thoroughly. Because
Right.
if it was, there would be more impact after
Right.
that. So that's if I could wave my wand, I would bring in that whole ecosystem conversation and the benefits of it and people to buy into that instead of doing a one-off training.
Absolutely. Yeah, just seeing the greater value and impact of not just learning one specific thing quickly, especially like you said, under the time pressure, but knowing how valuable it is to have someone like you come in and really change the way across the board that they're learning or focus on something for a long enough term that you can really see the bigger impact. Just
Exactly.
one, yeah, one related question on that. Is there a Is there something important you've learned about measuring the impact of your systems, say over the course of like 90 days or whenever you've implemented something with a company? What's something you do to see how impactful it's been or how well it's going?
It has to be embedded in the system. So
Yeah.
as I a lot and let's be honest with training, oftentimes that, with the ADDIE model, how we talked about that with the evaluation, that just gets sort of swept to the side, and what they're measuring mostly is the knowledge gained. It's mostly of what was this training? Did you like this training? The satisfaction, right? Did you like this
Right,
training? Were the
right,
facilitators engaging and was the content engaging? It's not really measuring, okay, well, what skills did you learn and how did you apply it, right? And so I
right.
think
Yeah,
how to build that, it has to be built in the systems, whether or not it's through performance evaluation, whether or not it is like through deliverables, as I mentioned with the health equity, where they're creating their outreach strategy and then it's being measured, as part of an overall program on a larger scale. Otherwise, it is a little bit harder to do this 60 or 90 days because organizations don't really have the bandwidth or the resources to do that in house.
yeah, yeah. So really focusing on the tangible ways that uh, how are people applying it most importantly, right?
Exactly. And
And
like
really,
through
yeah.
leverage.
But
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Yeah. So how are they applying it and leveraging systems that already exist that the organization
Yeah.
uses, like through performance evaluations or other deliverable metrics?
Yeah, great. So if there was just as a closing thought, maybe a piece of wisdom that you would give to someone who is in the learning and development space, particularly maybe if there's something you see happening a lot with these types of learning implementations that you're really passionate about shifting in the field, like maybe just a piece of wisdom you could give to other people who do this kind of work.
I would say really just believe in yourself, believe in your value and what you can create. Sometimes it is a bit challenging explaining to people what instructional design is and how you can really just amplify the overall learning experience. Sometimes it's about being creative and knowing that you just have to show the client, right? Like what you can do, and then they're bought in. Another thing is to always just keep on learning and growing and learn about new technologies and tools and think about ways that you could bring those in to some of the work you're doing and showcase it with potential clients.
Yeah. Yeah, so staying really curious, like you said, and then,
Mhm.
staying connected to the value that you bring and that really being
Exactly.
communicated across to the people you're working with. That's brilliant. Well, Nia, thank you so much for all the insight and wisdom that you offered. Where can people go to find you and connect with you?
Yeah, you could find me. I'm on LinkedIn, Nia Martinez, or you could book a call Calendly. Nia.martinez at innovateglobally.com is my email. So feel free to reach out at any time. Happy to help you create impactful learning that really does lead to behavior change and overall organizational results.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much, Nia. This has been a lovely conversation. I love how connected to purpose you are and how that, how you use that to create big impact for people all over the world. So thanks for sharing your
Thank
inspiring
you.
wisdom. Cheers.
Thank you so much. And thank you for doing this and amplifying the voice of learning.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for tuning in and listening, everyone.